Hey, it's Joelle, welcome back. This is the first video of the year, so happy 2025. By this point in the year, I'm sure you've already had a chance to kind of reflect on your goals, particularly your New Year's resolutions if you made any. If you're sticking to them, great, but goodbye, because this video is not for you. This video is for anyone who, let's face it, has already failed their New Year's resolutions. You've not been in the gym since 11th of January, delivery has become your best friend, and you're just generally not feeling motivated. But don't worry, I'm just here to drag you. Instead, let's talk about how you can set goals that you will actually achieve this year. So part one is to really identify what it is that we're trying to do. What is goal setting? Let me tell you what it isn't. 1, a chance to compete with or outperform others. 2, an opportunity to deplete yourself or burn out. 3, a complete and total transformation. Or 4, the thing that determines your self-worth. What goal setting is, or at least what it should be, is A, a useful opportunity to self-reflect and grow. B, a chance for self-improvement. C, a means of developing discipline. And D, a system of planning and gradually leveling up. This understanding of goal setting as a system is going to be absolutely integral to what we go on to discuss next, which is how to do it. How do we go about setting goals that are going to be effective, goals that are going to work, goals that we can actually work on properly and see through to the end of the year? There are a couple of things you're going to want to take into consideration. First thing being that, as with any other good system, effective goal setting is essentially a mechanism made out of different steps. 2 I want to focus on in this video are going to be reflection and organization. Let's start off with reflection. When it comes to goal setting, the reason it's important is because it helps you to align yourself, clear your head, get clarity on what your goals are, what they should be, what you're actually aiming for, and what's your overall arc. This is actually going to take a bit of time. I recommend you get a notepad, piece of paper, a journal, even get your voice memos or your notes app open, and you can start with these basic exercises. The first one is going to help you reflect on your past. You're going to sit down, take a bit of time to kind of write things down or speak things out, and you want to reflect on the person you've been. If you are looking, for example, to set goals for 2025, you're going to look back at the past year and see what kind of person you were in 2024. What were the things you did well? What were the things you didn't do so well at? What things were you able to achieve? What things did you not manage to achieve? What things were you good at? What things did you fail at? Those are the kinds of things you want to be doing in your reflection on the past. You want to maybe take the year of 2024 and break it down month by month or quarter by quarter or season by season, and really make a list of the achievements and the things you managed to realize in that period of time. I think sometimes when it comes to goal setting, we have a bit of a overly cynical approach where we kind of downplay the things that we've already achieved in anticipation of the things we want to achieve going forward. And while I understand eagerness to improve and to develop as a person, because hey, that's what we're all here for, it is really important also to give yourself credit. And I think reflecting on the past and on your past achievements will really help with that. Another reason why it's so important to look back on your past is because you can see what areas of your life or the things you paid most attention to. That kind of frequency of goals in a certain category or area of your life will signify to you that that was a priority in that past season. It gives you an opportunity to decide whether or not that's something you want to carry forward into the next year. Do you want to specifically focus again on academia? Is it something you want to put on the back burner and replace it with something else that you're more interested in? That is why kind of looking back is a really good way, because it shows you where you've been spending your effort, where you've been focusing your attention. So now that you've reflected on your past, you want to completely skip right now and go on to the future. What you want to do is start off by thinking of your future self, thinking of the person it is that you want to be at the end of 2025. What kind of things do you want to have achieved? You want to think about what things you of 2026 has done in 2025. This will help you to kind of understand what it is you're actually aiming for, and it will help you a lot more when it comes to setting the goals needed to achieve those overarching ambitions. As well as that, you want to give some time to the kind of person you foresee yourself being. I think oftentimes when we're doing these kind of reboots, revamps, reshuffles, we think about the things we want to do, we think about the achievements and those kind of external material ideas, but we don't really think about our personalities necessarily, our attributes or qualities, the things within us that we might want to work on as well. What kinds of things, what kind of attitude, what kind of behaviors, what kind of habits, what kind of mindset is future you going to need to have in order to enable them not just to achieve the goals that you set, but also to enjoy the fruits of those goals that you set? Who is the person that you are trying to be? That will also help you with your next step, which connects your future self to your present self. I know that there's a huge focus on revamps, transformation, hide away, lock in, pop out as a whole new person. I don't buy into none of that. I advise you not to as well. The idea that you need to completely transform yourself is completely unrealistic. But in reality, what we should be doing is looking at ourselves now that link us to the person we want to be in the future. Recognizing the kind of continuity aspect between where you are now and the person you aim to become, it helps you to kind of keep things in perspective, not get overwhelmed, not be discouraged. It makes it just seem a lot more attainable because you are basically already on the road to becoming the person you want to be. Okay, now you've gone through reflection, let's get on to the second part of how we're going to be goal setting, and that is organization. It's actually very, very simple. What I just mean by this is categorization. So categorizing your goals, building off those reflection exercises where you've kind of identified the areas of your life that you maybe want to work on. What you're going to want to do is use those as the framework for the categories of goals you set for yourself. Maybe making fitness goals, making mental health goals, making social goals, making academic goals. That kind of thing really helps you to set everything out and keep things very specific. It helps you also to break things up when you're in the process of achieving these goals. And so maybe you might want to say, okay, for the month of February and March, I really want to focus on my career goals. And so you have that set of career goals that you can specifically narrow in on and prioritize for that period of time. Having a clear-cut categories for your goals is really useful. It seems like a very small, minute detail, but it does help you to keep into perspective what exactly it is you're working towards. How exactly are you building the components of that ideal person or that future self that we talked about earlier? As well as categorizing your goals, another element of the organizational process has to be how you document these things. And one of the most common ways people do this nowadays is by making vision boards or prayer boards, which essentially are kind of like collages, photos, images, scriptures, items that signify the goals and ambitions you have for yourself. That visual aspect is really, really, really helpful for a lot of people because you can easily see what it is you're aiming for. If you're not interested in making a vision board because it's too much work or you just can't be asked, there are other things you can do. For example, making a list, maybe in a journal or a notepad. You can use your notes app. You can make a voice memo to yourself of the future, asking yourself questions. Have we managed to take our driving license? Do we have a car yet? These kind of exercises of making letters for yourself, writing memos to yourself, helps to keep us accountable, because we know that at the end of that, when we look at that checklist and only one thing out of 20 has been checked off, we're going to be like, oh. But that kind of anticipation of potentially disappointing yourself should be something that actually motivates you. Moving on from organization and how we're going to set goals, let's talk about how we're going to achieve them. I would recommend that you set SMART goals: specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, and time-bound. I'm going to go through each of these one by one, so let's get into it. When it comes to specific goals, it means making goals that have a clear-cut point. You know exactly what it is you're going through. For example, not just make it, I want to be more flexible by the end of 2025. Say instead, I want to improve my back flexibility. Making things very clear so you can't get confused, you can't get sidetracked, and you're very much focused in on what it is you really want to achieve. Next, you want to make sure that they are measurable. This means having goals that you can track them. You can't make a goal that's like, I want to be a better person. That's very vague, because how do you track that you're becoming a better person if you've set no criteria upon which to base that assessment? Do you get what I mean? We can say, I want to improve my life spiritually by making sure that I go to church more frequently. You can track that. As well as that, is making sure that those things are multi-step processes. So you can tick yourself going through each step. Is making the goals attainable. That means making sure that they're within our reach. I don't mean making them attainable in the sense that they're small. I think you can have complex goals and definitely achieve them. It's having goals that are dependent on yourself and your own actions. If I said to myself, I want 500 subscribers by the end of the year, I could make the best videos ever. But if 500 people don't decide to subscribe to my channel, then I can never achieve that goal. If I say, however, I want to make higher quality videos so that I can potentially attract more subscribers, that is within my control. Those are things that hinge on my behaviors as opposed to those of others. And I think that's something that helps to make your goals attainable. Next one is keeping your goals relevant. In order to keep them relevant, it means keeping them aligned with the overall trajectory you see yourself traveling in. Any goal that you set needs to be aligned with the vision of yourself you've set out in your reflective exercises. Having that sense of connection, again, between where you are now and where you're going, it helps a lot with keeping you motivated. The last thing, when it comes to setting SMART goals, is to make sure that they are time bound. So, I mean, it's quite self-explanatory, but make sure you put a limit on the time frame for you achieving these goals. You might not actually do it in that period of time, but it's a good thing to have a deadline in front of you, because then you have something to work towards. It helps you to work expeditiously. It helps you to understand there's a sense of urgency behind certain things, and so you're likely to be more motivated to do them if you feel like there is you know, that sense of urgency. And so as well as setting and having smart goals, there are a couple of other things that I think are really, really important. Number one is to work holistically on yourself. I think it's so important that the goals you set are like all over the gaff, you know, it's not just focused on one specific area of your life only. And even if the goals you write down are only focused on one specific area of your life, that doesn't mean you neglect all other aspects of your being. I think that your mindset and mental health have a huge impact on the kinds of goals you're going to set, and also how effectively you're going to be able to work towards them. If you're constantly ill, if you have a constantly compromised immune system because you're not taking care of yourself, you don't take your vitamins or supplements, you're not staying hydrated, you're not sleeping enough, you're not going to have the energy to do anything, let alone work towards super vigorous, super complex goals. So it's really important that you kind of maintain a sense of balance and a sense of intention when it comes to taking care of yourself on a general level. Next, I want to talk about being spiritually or emotionally grounded. I think having a sense of spiritual grounding is really important. I know that looks different for everybody. There are so many things that have happened to me that have been unexpected and have completely thrown me off, like just totally. And the only reason, honestly, that I'm still here and still trying to do things is because I have faith in God. I have faith that God has a plan for me, and that's the reason why I'm still trying to do certain things, even though I've been set back in various different ways. Having a broader understanding of the world I'm living in, having a broader understanding of my existence as a person, it helps so much to put things into perspective. When you realize you're part of a bigger plan, your goals become simultaneously more important and simultaneously less be all and end all, because they feel more important because you realize you're working towards something for something greater than yourself. They also become slightly less dire because you realize that there are so many other things at play besides just the things I want for myself. Having a sense of spiritual grounding really helps with your mental. Helps with your spiritual, obviously. It helps with your mental. And I think it can help with your physical too, not gonna lie. I think it is really important, again, to be holistic in everything you do. And for me, I think too often we forget that spiritual aspect of things. We do the mental health, we go to counseling, cool. We go to therapy, cool. We go to the gym for the physical calm. But I think there is a level of connection and a level of enlightenment and motivation you get differently when you have a level of spiritual grounding. So that's something I would really recommend that you look into. My last tip: create a supportive and conducive environment within which to achieve your goals. Having people around you that are actually really kind to you, and having people around you that crucially like you. And it's not that you can't achieve things when you're in those kind of disadvantaging environments. It just becomes a lot harder. And if you can make it easy for yourself, then I say why not? There are like 8 billion people in the world at this point. There are finna be people out there that like you and are willing to support you in whatever journey it is that you go on. I really recommend you invest in that. Invest in building community. Hope this video was helpful. Let me know what you think. If you liked it, then like it, and I will see you next week. Bye.